What is up, guys? YodaDaWise back at you again with the new commander. Let's take a look at Kaseus. All right, so let's talk about this guy. So it's another Walker Con. I honestly don't think he's gonna be a game changer, but I've been wrong before. A lot of it has to do with just not having the ability to really load him up correctly and add everything that we normally add in terms of arc, hull skills, and buffs. So a lot of it's, dependent on how it plays out in the simulator. And at this point, I have fairly decent gear to put on him, and I have a good understanding, I feel, of him. His first skill is Mind Map. Basically, what this is going to do, it's going to steal the enemy's buff and dispel the enemies. So it's been to basically just steal the enemy's buff from them and put it on you for at least one turn. It's also guaranteed to hit. His second skill is allegedly going to give the troop section next to him on your end a damage reduction effect for every buff that you stole or cloned, so to speak. It, like always, it's kind of hard to really tell how they work when you play the replays, but let's dive into it and give it a shot to see if I can give you the best example I can here. And then there's some skills it doesn't steal. So we're going to dive into that as well. So let's take a look. All right. So this one, I put up my Orochi against another person's Kaseus, just so that way we could have a different kind of example. And as I stated, some buffs do not get copied. So let's take a look at this really quick. I'm going to run through this one fairly quickly because it's a hard example to look at other than what it doesn't do because of what Wenjan had put on in terms of jewels and plug-in effects. That's another thing. Fourth skill, he put in, I believe, steam cannon. Yeah, so I wouldn't put steam cannon on him because the whole point is to steal the opponent's buffs. The other part of it, he used Perseus and Hercules, which that's why it makes this kind of difficult to see what his skills do because it's already showing you a bunch of added buffs to him. Not to mention the fact every time he does Steam Cannon, he has nothing to steal. So Steam Cannon is probably the worst fourth plugin to put onto him. Anyways, this is just a good example of what not to put on him, which is Steam Cannon. Let's roll into a different replay that'll give you a better look at his skill. Okay, so this one, the gears, I'm outranking him on that. He did still do quite a bit of damage. A lot of that had to do with Reinhardt's skills and buffs more so than him actually hitting, like self-inflicted damage. But as you see here, this is that second skill. It's already allegedly giving a damage reduction buff, even though there was nothing for it to take away to give you that buff. And allegedly, it's going to put it onto this slot too, if it were to have taken away from anything from the opponent. I did use two of each just to try to get an idea of which one was going to work better. Honestly, they all work fairly well. It's just a matter of how you set up your gear. These red ones back here are the newest. They're going to give you a lot of crit damage. It is a crit damage tier, regardless of infantry, walker, or airship. Their special buff is crit. These two, it's accuracy. And then these ones have a regeneratory buff to them. So in terms of which one's going to hit the hardest, the red ones are going to hit the hardest, allegedly and theoretically. These ones are going to hit more often, and these ones are more for survivability. But as you've been seeing here, with in slot 4, he's got essentially stole the Constellation Bliss or the Hyperspace Armor, one of the two, from slot 1 using his first skill. And it will only last until it gets back over to him, or to this slot again. The worst part about this replay is I can't really show that it full on steals it just because it's in the back row and he's not going to hit it. So when he does hit hit, or if it was like the first row and he did do damage to that first row, it would reflect the same effects onto him like it would you hitting Reinhardt. So that's one example there. And I ended up winning just because of numbers, it looks like. So as you can see, even with better gear, this is not a Hancock destroyer. I ran probably 20 sims on this Hanny, and I mean the gears he's holding are they're not compared to what I'm running. So it's concerning that I couldn't do any damage to him even with the lower gear like that. But to show you what I'm talking about, and this is where it gets kind of hard to see as well, because his Light of Gemini, his mind map shouldn't steal his feral strength. See, it doesn't steal it. It doesn't take every buff, and I would consider that skill a buff. But I mean, that's my opinion. As you've also probably seen, I've been using the 4-skill plunder. I figured if I'm gonna hit him, I might as well get a little back from it. And in other simulations, it did prove to be a good 4th skill. But as you see, I do nothing. There, I've ran it so many times. I got the skills here. I just allegedly couldn't do enough damage to get rid of his feral strength, which is ridiculous to me. Like that should not have happened. That's very frustrating. Let's see. Let's move on to the next one here. Another Orichi. We did that. Well, this was a good example here too. Because it did show, this one does show, I kind of switched it up to only using these ones. I'm still using the same 4th plug. Let's get this up a little faster here. We won't really see it. There's the corrosive armor. So right here on slot 3, you're going to see him steal the corrosive armor. Just for that slot. He should have, but the mine didn't go off. And that's the other problem. If the mine map doesn't go off until the back row, it doesn't do much good. Come on. Gemini, pivot, soul chain, mind map. There we go. And boom. So here you see he's no longer shiny. Now my slot 5 is shiny. This one has it, the corrosive armor. It doesn't do all that good because he's in the back row. So that's the only downside there. But we end up wiping him out either way. And this was kind of a good example here, as the gear is fairly level. In my opinion, the gear is fairly level. So this was a shock to me that Kaseus did a lot better against this one than he did against this one, where I don't think I was able to really hit him. Now I'm curious. We might as well just watch it just to see why was there a big the difference was the troops. That's what it was. I couldn't hit for whatever reason, and then with the Cyan shuttles, like I said, this slot of the new tier of troops, they have a healing ability, as you see right there, and that's what makes them a little bit more difficult to cut through when you have high defense commanders like Orichi, Reinhardt, and Rogers, even, to be honest with you. I'm not seeing a lot of Rogers as of late, but 100% I believe that was the problem with this round, is that I could not get past these guys. So there you have Kaseus. It is recommended that you use, let me see here, this kind of setup with the gear. You're probably going to want to use either Pioneer or A1 AI1 for the bot, the battle bot thing. The other thing, if you're not on this level of gear, they are recommending you're wearing, the Titans and the armor of the Tyrant. I do have his special one here, the Brainstorm. It is the special effect. I just don't have it high enough that it made sense to use it in the simulations. But let's go take a look at that really quick, since they always want to add these new gears. So it's a Kaseus exclusive. The damage reduction effects of Pivot Soul Chain won't be cleared. If it works the way it's supposed to, which makes it very difficult in these video or in any of these commanders to really see it until you start playing it. If his second skill, when it does a damage reduction effect, this will stack and not be cleared, that could be a game changer, to be honest with you. That's probably why Hancock was difficult, because one, I couldn't hit him and create any damage to take any of his buffs away. From my understanding of it, it looks like if you don't do any damage, it doesn't necessarily take any buffs away. And if it doesn't take any buffs away, you're not going to build on that damage reduction effect. Brainstorm, if you are able to do all of those that I just mentioned, should increase that damage reduction effect to an extent that would make him more profitable in battle. So that may be the difference in certain things or aspects of Kaseus. I just didn't have it at a level that would make sense to try to run it. I just feel at level 20, it wouldn't really show us a good understanding of if that's a game changer to it or not. The nice thing is it does add penetration and crit wither, so you can still run the alcades and have if you have it up to probably 45 level, you'll be right where you need to be to get that 100% on penetration. So and with penetration, you need at least 97% for it to make any difference or real damage from it. So all right, so that pretty much wraps it up for Kaseus. I'm not quite sure how much of a game changer he's going to be. It really depends on how well that special jewelry for him is going to make it a difference in his second skill when it adds that damage reduction buff. But he does have potential to be really good. So you're going to have to play with him. As always, I encourage you guys to run your simulations. I hope this was a better explanation to how his skills worked. I know Ark of War has been trying to put these like really simple things where they just show us quick screen replay and then just read off what their skills do. And honestly, we try to dive into it here a little bit deeper to say like, well, this is really what it does and this is really what it doesn't. And as we saw, it doesn't take all buffs. It only takes certain buff, or the vast majority, but not all. So please leave a like, subscribe, pass it around. Make sure you're letting your guildmates know about my videos. I appreciate all the support. Something I did want to show really quick. So I get these sometimes, and I think they're really cool. This person, Team Arson, shout out to you right now. Says, hey bro, I'm a subscriber to your YouTube channel. Are you going to make a video on one new Walker Commander? Well, I'm making it right now, and you just made it into it. So kudos to you, buddy. But I love saying this. Most of the time I have people find me on the map when we do the Kasetan event, and I think it's awesome. So if you see me in game, shoot me a message. I always reply, and if you want to chit chat for a bit, I will respond as long as you respond, or unless you ended on a message that I'm not sure how to respond. So until next time, guys.